The time is just gone 8:22 a.m. now. There's never a dull moment in South African politics. And when we reflect on the year that has just passed us, 2021, there have been a number of moments from politics that have become major talking points that had us talking, that had us so engrossed in addressing some of these issues. And this morning, we're talking with Associate Professor at UNISA, Professor Tumi BB Senokoane. Professor Senokoane, good morning to you and welcome to the show.
Good morning, my brother, and good morning to the listener.
Yes, as I mentioned, never a dull moment in South African politics. Lots of issues that we can talk about now. We're talking about 5 moments from politics that had us talking this year. And the biggest issue has been, I think, the looting that we saw taking place in the country. And perhaps you would concur that this was the major talking point in the country.
Look, I didn't hear the concept that you used. Were you referring to looting or what? I just wanted to be sure because the line is...
Yes, we're talking about, obviously, the looting was the biggest talking point, but also the issue surrounding Sihle Zikalala assaulting looters on TV.
Yes, you see, one will have, I always argue that in front of the audience or whoever is depending on who's looking into the matter, it always makes a big difference. A terrorist in front of the United States might be a freedom fighter in Afghanistan. So I'm deliberately using this to problematize the usage of saying that people have been looting because it has been a narrative that has been going around. Yes, one might argue that there's been looting, but at the same time, we cannot ignore the realities of the economic realities that we live within. So that's the conditions that we find ourselves within South Africa, where majority of people find themselves poor, majority of people find themselves unemployed. And most of the conditions and the environment that we find ourselves was created by our political leaders who are today calling our people looters, who have not provided free education to our children and citizens, who have not made it possible to provide job opportunities, while minority of them and as individuals have become richer and richer. And maybe the question by other people might be, so what's wrong with being rich? There's everything wrong by being rich alone and as individuals, while allowing the majority of our people to starve and to be poor. Because at the end of the day, we will experience what we've experienced, where people will go out there and possess, one might say, and get goods for themselves and go, yes, using the concept that you are using, looting spree, because of the conditions that they have. Because they did not create the conditions. Our leaders have created this. Political parties have become negligent, and our people find themselves distressed and so on. So those are the conditions. And you are correct. The premier of KZ, Mr. Zikalala, was indeed very frustrated. He didn't know what to do. In fact, he never believed, or anyone for that matter, never believed that the majority of our people, our citizens, will one day wake up and decide to act as they acted. And I think our people have been patient since 1994, where they were promised a better life for all. They've been very patient, and even myself, I was surprised. I always had this concern and query that they do not take themselves serious. And for the first time, they stood up. One might ask, why did they do it in a fashion that they did? We must remember that even under apartheid, that's what the ANC taught us, to say, should you want to cripple the political system, collapse it economically. So the issue of looting might not necessarily be looting, might be the attempt by our people to collapse the order of the day, the ruling party of the day.
Yes. Now, the other talking point was the resignation of Tito Mboweni. And from a minister, he's now turned an amateur chef and a social media personality. Now, this has become also another major talking point in 2021.
Yes, I want to believe that Mr. Mboweni was in the first place misplaced. He shouldn't have been there. He acts as an individual within a collective. It seems he acts like someone who doesn't take mandate from even his political party. He acts alone. So that was expected that sometime, he might be released from actually his position as the Minister then of Finance. That was expected from one city. And, especially based on what you are saying, his comments on social media, one will want to argue that from the president or ministers, whatever comments that they do on the social media platforms, being it their personal or unofficial capacity, the expectation is that they should act within the collective mandate, or at least what is informed by the policies and decisions driven by government. And in this case, or at least their political parties, in this case, Mr. Mboweni was an individual, and in other instances, he will contradict and even embarrass decisions made by his political parties, to an extent even by government.
Yes. Now, the third issue, the 15 million rand stadium in the Eastern Cape. Now, that became a talking point, and we know that came, the opening was just a month before the local government elections.
Look, the ballooning of prices across is not only the problem at Eastern Cape. I think the Eastern Cape received the media attention because it went overboard. But if you check most of the tenders given across all municipalities, across all provinces, the prices are ballooned, from one to another. And I think whoever wins in 2024 will have to relook into this matter of tenders and try to come with stricter measures in making sure that this does not happen. Because on others would be a stadium, on others would be the tie road, on others it would be a delayed project of building a school, and eventually if a school was 20 million, the value goes to 40 million, doubling of the price unnecessarily because of the delays, because others might be one, or not necessarily because of delays, but because people will balloon prices with the intent of making profit for themselves on the side. So that is a national problem, not necessarily an Eastern Cape problem. So we need to, in the new year, perhaps pursue and look into other tenders, and especially in government departments, municipalities, and so on, to look into why is this the case and how we can perhaps from our side as ethical citizens try to protect the interest of our country.
Yes, and Professor Senokoane, we know Phoenix, the hotbed of racism during the looting, and this was explosive as far as racial tension goes. And the DA, in the build-up to the election, the controversial posters that sprung up in Phoenix.
The question of Phoenix, I wonder, because I've got a difficulty myself classifying it as racism for a simple reason. I come from a black theology background, black study, black philosophy background, where I believe and was taught that Indians and blacks and colors from Africans are classified as blacks. And while one tries to classify the incidents of Phoenix as unfortunate as they are, as embarrassing as they are, as unexpected as they were, one wouldn't want to jump to classify it as racism per se, because it is the same group that is classified as black that tend against one another. So we have to, in terms of classification, I've got a problem. But let's talk about what happened in the issue of Phoenix is disappointing in a sense that we're expecting that Indians and blacks to live side by side, to work together, and advance the challenges that we are facing as a country together. Because all of us, unlike our white counterparts who have abused us, colonized us, brought apartheid into us, we were supposed to be working together and making sure that our country prosper, and especially the, African colors, Indians, or blacks in particular, blacks in general, will have to work together in making sure that we advance our agenda, economic benefit, economic growth, economic emancipation, but also in ensuring that politically we are secured and advance also politically. So, and socially we should be able to be advanced than any other nation, because we've fought together against white domination. We stood against white domination. We stood together against colonization and apartheid, and it was unfortunate that this took place or transpired.
Yes, and just finally, with the outcome of the local government elections, it showed that in a number of major metros, the ANC is no longer in control with a majority, and coalition politics started featuring a lot more prominently. Now we've seen the EFF and the DA. These are two contrasting ideologies and backgrounds that they come from. But I'm not too sure whether this has been a surprise turn of events where the EFF caused a political stir by throwing its weight behind DA candidates in some of the major metros.
The EFF has made it clear in their media briefings and in their media statements that they were willing to vote with ANC, provided that ANC meet certain conditions. And clearly they didn't agree. But we must also ask whether the written conditions were the only ones that were discussed between the EFF and the ANC. And possibilities are that they might not, reveal everything that they want from the ANC, and it might have been led to the crux of the discussion. Or if we limit it only to the written conditions, and ANC did not, it is also clear that the ANC did not meet that. But you see but also you listen to the president of the EFF and the EFF whenever they have media address, they clarify that they will punish the ANC. The ANC should be below 50%. So that's nothing really new about what the EFF is doing. But maybe the question on how do you then bring the two together? I think now it's an old question between the DA and EFF of working together or pursuing certain common interests, because we have seen in the previous local municipalities before this one that the EFF, have voted, together with the DA in Tshwane and in Johannesburg, for instance, in making sure that the mayor comes from the DA. So it's really an old question. But perhaps the question that we might ask is, for how long will this happen? I think that's the question, the new question that we should ask, because it seems not to be ending, it is continuing. The question is, what if then, through their action, legitimize the DA, that the DA in 24 might even be voted by people, because other voters might come to a conclusion that since that there is a vote for the DA by the parties that they are voting, therefore, let's vote for the DA. It's a risk that they are taking, but obviously one cannot limit it to that, because the constituencies knows who they want to vote for.
Yes, Professor Senokoane, thank you very much for that. And talking to us this morning, we wish you all the best. Please be safe in this holiday, this festive season, and please take care.
Thank you very much, my brother, for the opportunity.
Professor Tumi BB Senokoane with us this morning. We're going to go for a break. We'll be back.
Freedom Station